Welcome to another episode of the Woman Up podcast, a place where we entertain, educate and elevate women on this journey we call life. And on this week's episode, I have the amazing Chloe with me. Chloe, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
Before we start any interview, I always do, they're kind of like icebreakers, but it's a game that I've called 333.
Okay.
So it's just 3 sets of 3 questions. The first one is, would you rather?
Okay.
So, would you rather have the ability to fly or to be invisible?
Oh God, good question. I'd probably say invisible.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also know that I believe that some things aren't for you to be, like, some things are said and they're not meant to be heard by you. So I think it could then have a negative effect. But then I'm like, flying, it would be cool. But then you wouldn't, I don't know, I think you could use the invisible to develop yourself more rather than in a negative way. But it could turn negative. Hearing stuff that you shouldn't hear, you know?
Yeah. But I guess you could be in rooms that you'd learn a lot from.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd use it to develop yourself rather than, invisible. Let's go with it.
Would you rather live in a tree house or a boathouse?
Tree house.
I love the sea, so
Really?
I would be a boathouse, yeah. Why tree house?
I'm much more of like nature around trees kind of girl rather than the sea.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd rather go tree.
Okay. Would you rather have a time machine or a teleporter?
Time machine.
Really? Why?
Yeah. I think it would be really cool to see what we're going into and to visit like how people used to live like back in the day. I just think it would give you a really good perspective of like the future and the present and the past.
Yeah. I always feel like if I had a teleporter, then I wouldn't have to worry about like travel, parking.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So mine's more like
get me there.
Yeah. Being more efficient.
Yeah.
Okay, the next set is finish the sentence. Yeah. So when I was a child, I wanted to grow up to be
a dancer.
Oh. Do you have a dance background?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used to be a professional dancer. I went to dance school and for all my childhood, I dreamed of being like a prima ballerina. Oh, wow. I did ballet since I was 2.
Yeah.
And then I went to dance school and I went on more of the musical theatre course. You either had to do classical or musical theatre. And my body shape wasn't the perfect shape it should be for a ballerina.
Oh, wow.
So I got encouraged by my principal to do the musical theatre course. And then over the years of growing up and being an adult, I then realised it wasn't for me. But when I was a little kid, dancer.
Aww.
Yeah.
I think that ballerinas, like, they're so, what's the word? Graceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. But it's
really hard though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, very hard, like mentally and physically, like really hard. And yeah, I just didn't have you had to have sway back legs and like the most beautiful pointy feet. And if you didn't have that, you just didn't look the way you should look, and that's like your like skeletal. You can't change that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. Okay. My favourite thing to do on a rainy day is
stay inside and read a book.
What are you reading at the moment?
I love Colleen Hoover books at the moment.
Okay.
Have you read any of hers? No. She's a really, really good author. Her books are amazing, and I'm on a bit of a roll with them at the moment. She does a really good one called Verity.
Is it like fiction or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fiction. I have like a fact book on the go and a fiction book on the go. So at the moment my fact book is called In the Flow, which is all about the menstrual cycle.
Menstrual cycle.
Yeah. Have you read it?
I had it on Audible and I was listening to it.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I tend to have one fact and one fiction, but I do love a storybook. So yeah. On a rainy day, stay inside, read a book and snuggle up.
Yeah, I recently downloaded A Court of Thorns and Roses on Audible.
Yeah.
But I got it as, it's called a graphic audio, so it's not like just a narrator. It has like sound effects and like different voices. So it's like watching a movie, but like
That would be good. That would be good, because I also find with audio you have to really like the voice of the person.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's really hard to listen to the whole bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah. I've never listened to a book like that though, and I really enjoyed it, but I just feel like it's been hyped up so much. I was like, oh, let me just see.
Give it a try.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so what was I on? Oh, finish the sentence. One thing on my bucket list is...
Go to Australia. It's been on my bucket list for ages, and we're finally going. We're going at the end of the year.
Oh.
So end of October for 5 weeks. Me and my partner, we were going to move out there for we were hoping that he'd be able to get a transfer work-wise, and then it didn't really happen that way. And then over the time, we've kind of like condensed the time. We were going to live out there, and then we were going to travel for 6 months, and then now it's 5 weeks. But I'm so excited to just finally be able to go and say that I'm going. So.
Do you know people that live there?
Yeah, my cousin's moved out there 5 years ago. He moved just before lockdown, so maybe 6 now. So yeah, a few people, and then one of our friends, he lives out there now in Sydney. I always know, like, and hear of, if people go out there, they don't come back. Like, I know so many people that have gone out there and just decided to stay out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been on my bucket list. There's just something about it that I'm really drawn to.
Oh, I'm excited for you then.
Yeah, thank you.
It's so far though. What's the travel time?
Oh my gosh, 20. It's like 20 something hours.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's like a full day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever been that far before?
No.
I went to New Zealand again before lockdown, and I arrived and I felt like I had the worst hangover. That's how jet lag made me feel. Like I felt sick to my stomach and my head was like spinning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, make the most of it while you're out there. I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last set is 3 random questions. So if you could instantly learn any skill and be expert level, what would it be?
Speak Italian.
Why Italian?
My partner's half Italian.
Oh, okay.
And I love the language.
Yes,
I think it's such a beautiful language. And a lot of his family live out there still, so it would just be amazing to just be able to speak and converse with them. And I would be open to living out there for a bit. We may do a little bit of time out there. So yeah. And I find learning languages really hard. I started on Duolingo, and then we had like a tutor, and it's just kind of gone downhill. But I need like, if we have a date to go out there, I'll commit. Yeah. But yeah, if I could learn it like that, I would.
I'd love to learn languages like that. Just, like,
do you speak any?
Fingers. Well, I speak Spanish because my dad's Spanish, and I do speak a bit of Italian. Just because I fell in love with Italy when I was like 19, 20. And I spent a month in the south of Italy. Oh, how lovely.
Travelling around.
Amazing.
What, and you learnt it within that month?
No. I just, I studied Italian when I was at university for my first 2 years, and then went to Italy to like practice.
Best way.
Yeah, but that was so long ago that now I'm just like, I kind of understand it more than I speak it, because it takes me ages to like translate it in my head. But I think that's normal, isn't it? You kind of pick up stuff first, like hearing, and then actually speaking, it's harder. Yeah. But did your dad speak to you in Spanish then growing up? Oh, and my mum's from South America, so she also speaks Spanish.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And I can't even remember where we are now. Okay. If you could have any animal as a pet, real or imaginary, what would it be?
I'm going to go with the classic, a dog.
Okay. Do you have a dog now?
I used to have a dog.
Okay, same.
I don't want a dog yet though. So the first thing that came to my mind was a dog, and then I was like, actually, would I? I'm very particular with animals. I love them if I really, really know them, but it takes me a long time. Like, don't like cats. Okay. I'm much more of a dog person. Yeah. And we had a lurcher growing up, and she was just beautiful, like a running dog, and I just absolutely loved her. I've got a real soft spot for a lurcher, and every time I see them, I'm like, oh. So one day I'll get one. But amazing. Yeah. I was like, when I read this question the first time, I was like, what was it I thought of? Oh, an elephant, because I love elephants. As a pet?
Can you imagine like coming into the studio and like
where would you keep it? In a garden.
But then I was like, real or imaginary? And then I was like, maybe I should go for like a dragon or something. Yeah.
Well, we could all have an imaginary pet, couldn't we?
That's true. Yeah. I'm going to go home and make one.
Boring dog.
No, it's not boring. I love dogs as well. Yeah, I love them.
They're special.
Okay, the last one is iconic woman up question is, what 3 things do you love about yourself?
Oh, my empathy. Mm-hmm. I think I've developed that over doing the job that I've done. And everyone tells me that. And I do think that's a real benefit to have. I think also being able to converse with a real mix of people and a range of ages. I do lots of retreats and a lot of the women are older than me, and I absolutely love spending time with older women, not just women, older people. I think you can learn so much from them. And and then third, self-belief maybe. I think I've always been the type of person that if I say that I want to achieve something, I do it. I don't doubt myself too much.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So you're quite confident?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I'd say so. I get nervous, obviously.
Yeah,
that's natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say generally I'm quite a confident person.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, maybe that's from my dance days though. Because I got really challenged in my training massively in areas that I knew that I wasn't as good at, and that was a challenge. So I think I developed it, to be honest, over my dance training.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Icebreakers is finished.
Fun.
So before we start, let's just get to know you, who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm Chloe, and I'm a women's health and fitness coach, and I specialise in helping women, I think, come into the fitness industry to enjoy it rather than come in thinking that they need to go on the next diet or try this intense fitness regime, which we all know, we come into these spaces, we do it for 8 weeks or however many weeks, then we just drop off because it's so hard to sustain. So I'm trying to, and I am encouraging women to work on their health and fitness and show them that they can make it a part of their lifestyle and move away from the quick fixes and fad diets and actually build something that's sustainable and enjoyable and will actually benefit their health rather than take them away from it, because all of these yo-yo diets and intense fitness regimes are actually more damaging in a lot of ways than beneficial to our health. So I do that, and I also do yoga and Pilates classes weekly, which I love as well. So
do you do them in person or online?
Online.
Oh, no way, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, on a Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. They used to be in person, and then lockdown happened and I put them all on Zoom, and my clients, we all decided, the majority of them actually preferred Zoom because a lot of them had work that they were juggling with, kids, and actually I try and do regular meetups in person so we can go over it in person and they can all talk and see each other, because that's really nice still. But yeah, it just worked so well to carry them online, and I've got clients now from all over the country, so
that's
it works
amazing.
Really well. Yeah.
Is it in the evenings you do them?
No, Tuesdays and Thursdays are Tuesdays is 9 till 10 a.m. Pilates, Thursdays is 10 till 11 Pilates, and then yoga is 8 till 9 on a Wednesday, on a Friday morning. So
are they different levels? What's it like teaching when you have different levels?
Yeah, I always offer modifications and progressions. So I always go to the basic exercise first, as in the classic version, and then I'm if you want to progress, do this. If you want to modify, do this. So you kind of give alterations throughout. But I'm lucky in the sense that a lot of my clients, I've got some people that are slightly different, but they've been doing it for so many years with me now, which helps. And I think when I get a new person in, if they're unsure, I'd be let's have a one-to-one first, go over the basics, and then you can join in. Cause I think online, you need to be confident in what you're doing. Because I give verbal kind of corrections and speak to them throughout the class, but a lot of the time that one-to-one attention is needed if you're new to a skill, or a type of activity.
I was looking on your Instagram earlier. It says you help women achieve their health and fitness goals in a way that they can sustain for life. What do you mean by that?
So that's what I mean in terms of helping them build something that is intertwined into their lifestyle, that they can actually literally sustain for the rest of their life. So rather than coming to me and being right, I've got this 8-week goal, which is great to have little goals, but we're okay, so can you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life? Do you actually want to improve your health and fitness that will then benefit you for when you're 60, 70, 80, 90, you know? Like, we're trying to build things here that will then help you for the rest of your life, rather than do something so quick and potentially damaging now, which will then have a knock-on effect after. Like, you know, like yo-yo dieting, if you cut suddenly, you lose loads of weight, and then a lot of the time people rebound because it's really hard, and it's that vicious cycle, and actually you're damaging your body more than helping it. So what I mean by that is actually, let's intertwine some real healthy habits into your lifestyle that you enjoy and you can carry on for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So
where did that passion come from? Because you said you used to do dancing.
Yeah, so during my dance days, that's when I got really into health and fitness. When I trained up in Manchester, and I was living with a good friend of mine who's still my good friend, and we got very, very into health and fitness then, for the wrong reasons.
Okay.
Like, at dance school, it's very, very pressured to look a certain way. Like, you come in the morning and you're in a sports bra and jazz knickers, like wearing nothing, in mirrors all day. So you're constantly seeing yourself and seeing everyone else. And unfortunately, when you go into an audition room, the first thing that they look at is, do they look like what we want? So they will have an image of what they're wanting. And if you don't fit it, then you don't get the job. So it was very much image-based first. So me and my friend would wake up super early, go to the gym, and then go to dance school and train all day. And we were also educating ourselves around nutrition, but for the benefit to shrink ourselves, not to nourish ourselves. So that's when that started. And then over the years, I started to realise, because when you're in it, you don't realise that what you're doing is damaging. You think you look great, like you're doing great, like you're getting really fit and healthy, and it's all positive. But actually, when you look back and start to realise that what you were doing was really unhealthy and toxic, like, I lost my periods for 5 years.
Wow.
And it took me a long time. To be honest, I think that's what it was, because it was coming to the end of dance school, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to come off the mini pill, which I was on for a while. And obviously you don't get period. Well, some people do, but a lot of the time you don't get periods on that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to get my natural cycle back, like, and see where I am with everything. So I came off it, and I thought my period would come back the next month, and it didn't. And then another month went on, and it just kept on going. And I started to then do a lot of research and start to try and educate myself on the reasons why I wasn't getting my periods. And I went to see a gynecologist, and the first thing he said to me was, we can put you back on the pill, which I didn't want to do, and you need to put on weight. And when you say that to a young woman who doesn't want to put on weight, it was quite a negative thing. So I just cut him out. I was like, don't tell me what to do. Like, that's what it was just very, like, emotionless the way he said it. So I removed that and I ignored it. But then I started to eat more and educate myself more. But I was also doing a lot in terms of my energy expenditure. Like, I used to work at a boutique gym. I was doing shift work on my feet all day. I was then training myself. I was then at that time training for a half marathon as well. So I was running. So I was doing a lot, and I didn't basically have enough energy reserves to kickstart my cycle again. So it just shut down, because I wasn't capable of having a baby at that moment in time and looking after someone else. And then lockdown happened, and I carried on eating the way I was eating, because I was deliberately trying to eat more at that point, because I knew that I needed to put on a bit of weight to get them back. And obviously everything stopped. I got furloughed, and they came back within a month. And I think it was just that stop, pause, nourish your body, keep eating, put on a little bit of body fat, and they came back. But I think that whole journey, and also knowing that so many women come into the health and fitness, it's not just performers that want to shrink themselves or want to look a certain way. It's a lot of women. And I went through such a roller coaster with all of that, and now I'm just like, I want to turn the health and fitness space into more of a positive space rather than negative for a lot of people. People come because they feel like they need to shrink themselves and make themselves better. Why not support your health? Why not feel good in the body that you're in, and look after the body that you're in, and embrace the shape that you are? As long as you're healthy and you're moving your body, why do you need to feel like you need to fit a circle shape if you're a square shape, you know, like we're all unique. And I think my journey got me to that point of thinking, actually, no, I want to help women actually enjoy it and achieve their goals in a way that they can sustain rather than, So I think it comes deep from my experience and trying to shape my body into something that was just not healthy.
Yeah. Throughout that time, I know you said you didn't have your periods. Was it just that you didn't have your bleed, or did you have like any other symptoms? Like
nothing. My estrogen levels were so low. I got tests done, and I didn't have any symptoms. It was almost. I did actually have symptoms. I actually felt like I was going through the menopause.
Oh,
my
no.
libido dropped massively. I was moody. I was exhausted all the time. Like I remember like finishing my shift work, coming home, seeing my partner, and it'd be like 8 p.m. and I'd be exhausted. And the idea of going out and socializing was like the last thing I wanted to do. It was. I literally felt like I was going through menopause. Like everything dried up. Like I didn't have libido. I wasn't interested in anything. I was exhausted. Like, yeah.
That's crazy.
It was a bit. Yeah, it was a sad time, but I learned so much from it. So yeah.
Yeah. So then, were you doing the fitness stuff before that, or that kind of triggered it?
No, I was doing the fitness stuff before that. So I always knew I wanted to be a personal trainer. After my dance days. So I graduated with a job in France, a dance job, and I went out there and started doing that and then realised the job wasn't for me.
Okay.
So I quit and came back and started a re-audition. But during my 3rd year, I trained to be a personal trainer. So then I started picking up PT clients whilst on the side of like doing auditions. And then PT started to pick up and auditions. I just decided, I got to a point where I was like, actually, like, is that really what I wanted to do? Which was really hard because when you dedicate your whole life to it and your parents' support and your family support and everyone's support, to then turn around to yourself and them and be like, actually, it's not what I want to do anymore, was a real tough moment. So, yeah, I think, I can't remember the question now. I've gone off on a tangent. I've gone on a complete tangent.
I can't even remember what I asked you now. Oh no, I said, have you always done the health and fitness thing, or was it just triggered by?
Yeah. So I started, and then over time I developed, like, because initially I was kind of the classic, when you qualify being a PT, you're just a personal trainer, like, and a lot of the time it's just to support weight loss. You're a weight loss PT. So I started doing that, and didn't really have a specific niche. And then over time of going through my journey and doing more courses, I did my women's health specialist course and educating myself more on different areas of women's health. That's when I navigated into doing what I do now, because it's my true passion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was going to ask you, why specifically women?
Good question. I do have male PTs, clients.
Yeah.
So I do work with guys, but because I think I can connect more with women, I understand more, I'm more passionate about it, I'm more interested in it.
Yeah.
I think it just ties into being a woman myself, really. So, yeah.
But your personal journey was like really influential with the work that you're doing now.
Massively.
Yeah.
It got me to where I am today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was ironic is back then when I was super fit and in an unhealthy way, everyone was saying, oh my gosh, you look so healthy and like you're so fit. And I think I was speaking to you have I spoke to you about this before? About like what's, you know, like on women's health and women and men's health magazines and like the models and on social media as well, like for people to get in that shape, they go on a serious routine and a cut and a program, which is so unrealistic for the day-to-day person. But we all strive for that and we all see that as health, but that's not health for a lot of, like, especially women are meant to carry a bit more body fat on us. We are meant to have that for childbearing and our hormones, and to be that shredded is actually not, like, some people are genetically like that, but I think for a lot of women to look like that is actually more damaging. But yeah, like back then when I was probably at my least healthy mentally as well, I looked healthy, and that was like I looked fit, and that was the I think the problem with society and what we deem as fit and healthy. You know, rather than Yeah,
I remember when I first started weight training, it was like when everyone started weight training. Like a lot of the girls that I knew, like from uni or wherever, started weight training, and it became the thing.
Yeah.
And then I had like on my vision board women that were like
their body shapes,
not like bodybuilders, but like super toned, like fitness models basically. And looking back now, I'm just like, that it just massively unachievable.
Like
for someone who's got like a 9 to 5 and like doing all
other
the
things as well.
Like this woman looks like that because that's her job.
Absolutely. And that's what we forget. And I think that's another, like, I did the similar thing. Like when I was back at dance school and I wanted to shrink my body as much as I could, I had screenshot like women's bodies of how I wanted to look, and I look back now, I'm like, oh gosh, that was so unachievable and sad that you're not just, you're never happy in your own skin, are you? And it's that constant feeling of chasing to look like someone else and to be like someone else, when actually, why don't you start working on yourself and working with the body that you've got? Because if you're constantly chasing for something else, you're never going to be happy with yourself. And it's really sad because so many women are at that point, and they have been for years and years, rather than like flipping it and be like, okay, this is my body, this is what I've been given, how can I work with it, rather than constantly fight against it.
I think also there's a woman that I follow, her name's Fabiana, I can't pronounce her name now, but it's Fabiana Ferrarini.
Okay. Don't think I've heard of her.
She's American, and she has a community that is all about fitness.
Yeah.
And her body is like super like fit and healthy, but she has like hip dips, and when she like does squats and jumps and whatever, sometimes she does it in bikinis, and her legs jiggle and her bum jiggles. But then I see like so many negative comments on her feed, and I'm just like, why? Like,
I know it's sad, and well, you're always going to get trolls, aren't you? And on social media, and like the hip dip, for example, that's actually how your hips are
supposed to look.
Well, and also how your bone structure is.
Yeah.
Like every person's pelvis and hips are structurally very different, and it's like thigh gaps as well. Do you remember back in the day? Then, well, some people probably still now, but women strive for thigh gaps. Well, actually, that is a lot of the time your skeletal structure, which you can't change. Like some people just have wider hips, and that gives more space in between their thighs. But yeah, like you're going back to what you were saying, like there's always going to be trolls, and I think that's so hard for people who do have a big name, because you're constantly battling with trying to love your body, show that everyone else should love their body, but then also see these, which is hard for anyone to see that. But it's social media is tough.
It's a tough one. I was going to ask you something else about this. Hang on. Let me just read my notes. Earlier you said you want to help women develop like healthy habits. Like, what would you say are like the top healthy habits?
I think go back to, there's so much confusion in the health of it as well, because it's so saturated with different things to try and different diets, and like you've got keto and everything like that. And I think fundamentally you need to come back to the 4 main pillars of sleep. Like sleep is number 1, because if you're not getting enough sleep, you're then tired, you're then craving more sugary foods because you want immediate energy. You don't want to move your body because you're exhausted. Like it's like a knock-on effect. And then you grab caffeine, and then you have caffeine, and then that stops you going to sleep, and it's like that horrible cycle. So I think number 1, sleep, and sleep for yourself, because there's the known kind of hours between 7 and 9 of what you should be having, but some people need actually more than 9. Some people can function a bit less than 7. So for me, like, I love my sleep, and I know that I'm really not good without sleep, and I would say a good night for me to feel like on top form would be like 8 to 9. And if I get any less than like 7, I really notice it. So yeah, finding what amount of sleep is good for you, number 1. Food, and with food come back to the fundamentals of like whole foods. And what I mean by whole foods is like eating foods that are as close to its natural form as you possibly can. So all of these like packaged foods with loads of different ingredients, they're everywhere and you can't avoid them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make your meals up, like the bulk of your meals up with vegetables, with protein that's like from its natural form, whether that's chickpeas or lentils or chicken or whatever. But yeah, just focusing on whole foods with your nutrition, and then movement. So move your body in a way that you can enjoy. If you don't enjoy going to the gym, stop pushing yourself to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Go for a walk instead. If you want to be out in nature, just move your body on a daily basis. And then hydration, I would say. A lot of the time we are thirsty and we don't drink enough, and actually we then eat food because we think we're hungry, but actually it's thirst. And again, drinking water. We drink so much sugary drinks, and so I would say those 4 things.
Hey ladies, thanks for joining us here on another episode of the Woman Up podcast. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a moment to say, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please follow the channel and leave us a review. It really, really helps with our reach. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any episodes in the future. If you're feeling especially inspired, please feel free to leave us a comment or share the episode on your socials. I personally read all comments, and every share has a massive effect on our growth, so it really means the world to us. Thanks in advance, we appreciate you, and let's get back to the episode. Is there like a minimum, or does it depend on the person in terms of like how much water you need to be drinking?
Well, it depends on the person. It depends what size they are, like how tall they are and everything like that. But I would say on average, try and get around about 2 litres a day. Like if you've got a water bottle, maybe 3 or 4 times filling it up throughout the day is a good goal. And I would always say have a water bottle with you, because it's so easy to go off. Like I actually don't have it with me, it's in my car, but I take my water bottle everywhere with me. And I think that also the more you start drinking, the more your body will tell you, actually, I fancy a drink now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I find that when I start like drinking more, because I have the 1 litre one that you refill.
Yeah.
I drink more.
Yeah.
But if I don't drink at all, then I'll just go like the whole day.
Do you feel thirsty though?
Yeah,
like
I do feel thirsty. But I feel like the more I drink, the more thirsty I am.
Yeah, I get that, because I drink a lot, and I think it's because I drink. Yeah, I always feel thirsty because I drink a lot. But yeah, I think like if you're thirsty, go for water first, and then have something else. If you want to have a Coke or whatever, have a Coke after. But if you're thirsty, give your body water.
Yeah.
Not something sugary to start.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just generally, like, where do you think women are going wrong at the moment with their health and fitness?
That's a good question. I think it's the same thing that I'm trying to battle against, of like doing the next program that's like this 8-week or challenge.
I was going to say,
yeah,
you're going to tell me off now for my 70-day challenge.
Yeah, because it's like you get to the end of the 70 days and then what?
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like,
you're just like, okay, I'm going to relax now.
Yeah, and it's like, great, you've achieved something. But I think it comes down to, because like there's nothing wrong with them if you just want to set yourself up for a challenge and try it. Like it can be good fun. But it's like, what are you trying to gain from it? And what do you want? Like, if I asked you, what do you want your health and fitness to look like long term? Like,
are you actually asking?
Yeah,
okay.
Go
on. I guess, I mean, in all honesty, I want to look a certain way.
Okay.
I also want to feel a certain way, because I feel like, especially at the moment, I've had some like issues with like ovarian cysts, and I think personally my hormone levels are off. So I feel like I don't always have energy. So I might have energy today, but then tomorrow I'll be exhausted by like 2 p.m. and I don't know why. And I'll have to have like an afternoon nap or something. And that to me doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So ideally I would want to feel energized like throughout the day. And then longevity, I think.
Yeah.
Diabetes runs in my family.
Okay.
Alzheimer's actually runs in my family as well.
Okay.
So I really like want to like make sure that my mind is always active, but also I don't want diabetes, I don't want anything like that. So I think like long term I want to make sure that I'm making the right choices.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think like having an aesthetic goal is fine.
Yeah.
But if that's your first driver, you're always striving for something that you may achieve, but you're always striving for something that maybe isn't realistic to your own body. And if you go off how you feel and focus on how is this making me feel, am I feeling better in my skin on a daily basis, then that will outweigh the way you look as a focus. Like, it will make you feel more content, it will make you feel happier in yourself.
Yeah.
And then the body composition will come, it will follow if you're focusing on how you feel. And I think, like, if your hormones are out of sync, and focusing on those 4 pillars first of like getting enough sleep, making sure that your food is nourishing your body, getting a variety of different foods, moving your body in a gentle way, like on a day when you're absolutely zapped with energy, if you don't fancy doing anything, maybe do a gentle stretch or like go for a gentle walk. Like, a lot of the time we feel exhausted, but actually when we go out in nature, it kind of makes you feel better, rather than pushing yourself to go to the gym, and being kind to yourself. And then hydration. And then if you then still feel like, okay, something's not right, then go to the doctors and be like, right, I'm doing these things, I'm still feeling exhausted, and then they'll check your hormones and things like that. But I think a lot of the time we are so far removed from those 4 things, and we expect things to happen straight away, and we expect to have energy and go all the time, when actually it's almost like we've got a body battery, and if you're constantly on the go and you're not recharging it, what do you expect? Not you personally, but I'm just saying, like, as humans, like, what do we expect? We aren't designed to go at this speed, especially women, if you link it then to your cycle. So yeah, I think coming back to that first, and then going to the doctors or elsewhere if you're struggling.
Yeah. Does your the training that you do with your clients, do you take into consideration their cycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do weekly check-ins with my clients, and do Zoom calls. But in the weekly check-ins, there's one of the questions is where are you in your cycle? How's your energy? Like, we talk about that, because what's really interesting is, if I'm working with a client who hasn't tracked their cycle before, they may have a week where they're craving chocolate, craving sugar, and they're like, Chloe, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then they do the weekly reflection, and they look back at maybe their food diary that they've had, and what their sleep's been like, because also sleep gets affected before our period. Our body temperature goes up, and that can then affect our abilities to sleep well. So we take that into consideration, and a lot of the time it's like, oh, I've got my period, that all makes sense. And it kind of makes you think, okay, like, I know I'm starting to get to know my body, I'm starting to get to know my cycle. And then what we then can do is prepare for the next month. Like, if you know you're going to have a week full of cravings of chocolate and sugar and things like that, have things readily available that are still going to nourish your body. Like, I'm a big fan of baking with like dates and nuts and seeds and things like that. And there's so many yummy things that you can make that are going to satisfy your sweet tooth, make you feel full, but also like really nourish your body. So I work on that with my clients, so we can think ahead and prepare ahead, but then also have a chocolate bar if you want to have a chocolate bar, you know? Yeah. But it's like understanding your body and your cycle. So yeah, I do. And I think it also depends like on your training session. So rather than just the food side of things with your menstrual cycle, there's some research done, but not loads. And also some women, we're all so different, and like the typical cycle would be like, okay, day 1 of your period, okay, let's go back. So the week before your period, energy drops massively. That's probably the time where you want to take things a little bit slower. Don't get your PBs, don't push at the gym too much, like your personal bests, don't push too much. Do yoga, go for a walk, do some stretching, do something else, or just drop the weights down in reps if you're feeling fatigued. And same like for your first day of your bleed, probably in second day. And then as we go through our cycle, energy starts to pick up again. So then that's when you can really push your body and achieve more at the gym if you want to go to the gym, or achieve more in whatever you're doing. So you're kind of working with the natural rhythm. But then some women are different, and they actually feel great on day 1 of their period, and they want to really push. Okay. So it comes down to getting to know your body. So if do you track your cycle?
I only track my period days.
Okay.
I don't track like my mood or anything like that.
Okay. Maybe start tracking your mood as well, because it's really interesting, and we're all so different. So starting to understand when you get your cravings and how your sleep was and how your energy is. It's like, I know before my period, I get quite, and I never knew this before. I'm starting to realise it more and more since I've been really focusing on tracking, is that I get really irritable and I snap more. And my partner he's starting to pick up on it as well. So he's like, are you about to come on? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
But then, like, he knows, I know, and I obviously try and be as nice as I can, but I just realise that I'm getting more snappy. And when I used to live with my parents when I was a teenager, it would happen, but I would never really know why it would happen. And I'd just, like, snap at my mum and, like, lash out. And it all makes sense now. So it's like becoming aware of it and not using it as an excuse, but becoming aware of it to then be like, okay, I'm just going to stay a bit more withdrawn, like do my own thing the next couple of days, because I know that I'm going to be irritable and moody with everyone. So let's just keep yourself to yourself, Chloe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, mine is a week before my period.
Yeah, when you notice that.
And I also want to, like, binge eat, like, random things.
So with that, I recommend to my clients, so a lot of the time it's more carbs and sugar we want.
Yeah.
Or fatty foods. So I would say with your meals, I don't know that you do this, but sometimes if we know that we're going to want something, we then make our actual meals smaller, because it's like, let's not eat as much in our meals, and then because I know that I may binge or something like that, so you're kind of compensating. No, have a proper substantial meal, have more carbohydrates, because your body wants a bit more carbohydrates anyway, and then you may notice that actually you don't binge as much or don't want as much, because you've really satisfied yourself. Like, have something that's going to nourish your body and something that's going to fill you up and you're going to really enjoy, rather than like stinging out on your actual main meal to then know that kind of like you then can binge more. So like bulk up your main meals and have lots of nourishing foods, and then that will help, and then lots of yummy snacks that you can have that you know are going to nourish your body as well. I'll send you a few recipes. I've got loads of recipes, so I'll send you some.
Okay. What does, like, a week in the life of Chloe look like?
So I still see some clients in person. So on a Monday, I drive back to where I used to live in Hertfordshire and see, normally it's like 8 to 9 clients back to back, which is quite an intense day.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot on a Monday, but it's nice and it gets the week going. So I drive back there early Monday morning and then see all my clients face to face. And then some of those clients see me again throughout the week on Zoom. So again, since lockdown, I've got some PT clients still on Zoom. And then Tuesdays are normally kind of content creation.
Okay.
I've got a Facebook group where I share much more in depth.
I forgot about that,
So I kind of create content for that and for social media platforms. And then Wednesdays are normally like my client check-ins, so my online coaching client check-ins. Throughout the week, I've got client calls as well who are doing my online coaching, and then I've got my yoga and Pilates classes as well. Thursdays are normally kind of back-to-back PT clients as well on Zoom, and then Fridays are a little bit more chilled. I've got my yoga class in the morning, some client calls in the morning, and then I use the rest of the day to kind of prepare for the following week, plan classes, get my head around the following week. And I try and use it for more of a creative day in terms of, I've got a members area. So if you're a client, you get access to the members area where all the recipes are. But I also then do articles and educational pieces. So I kind of use Fridays to research and create different articles and content for that as well. But sometimes Fridays seem to drop off, and I don't tend to. I do get around to it, but not every Friday. So I want to get a bit more strict on myself with that.
Okay.
Because I don't want my Friday to kind of wither away, and I don't do that because I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's like one of your biggest challenges that you've had going through, obviously your own personal journey, and then like transitioning with clients and stuff?
My biggest challenge, so within Body Mynd, my business, or
maybe with
like
you personally.
My biggest challenge, I think, I would say, which I mentioned earlier, when I had that kind of pivotal point where I had to decide dance wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I think that was so hard, like leaving France and saying to the director, like, this isn't for me, was really tough. And Obviously, everyone tries to encourage you to stay. And then eventually, I remember sitting with a friend in a coffee shop and I was just like to her, I don't know how I'm going to tell my parents. Like, it was such a big thing because they invest so much time and money and effort to really support you. But then I know that, like, what I've learned over the time is that it's the same as going to uni. Like, a lot of the time people go to uni, do a course and then they don't use it. But you've gained so much experience. So, like, I never regret the path that I did because all of that then got me to where I am today. I wouldn't be doing what I am today if it wasn't for my journey back then. But I think that was a really tough moment. I was only 19.
Oh, wow.
So I think that was, just quite a hard decision to make because I didn't want to let my parents down.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah.
That's always the thing we think about, isn't it?
Yeah. You want them to be proud of you. And I think that was, just a really tough, when they had done so much for me to get there. So, yeah.
And what's been your biggest achievement?
Oh, biggest achievement. I would say starting my business. I would say starting Body Mynd. Like, I did it in lockdown because I got furloughed from my job the boutique gym that I was working at the time.
Yeah.
And I always knew that I wanted to do my own thing. I hated having a boss. Did you?
Yeah. Always.
And weirdly, like, I felt more pressure working for someone else than I do for myself. So what I found really tough is I never wanted to let my boss down. I was like, I used to have colleagues that would be like, oh yeah, I went out last night because we were working on Saturdays as well because obviously people want to come and train on a Saturday, and mornings were like starting. First clients were like 6 a.m, so you're up at 5 a.m, so I would never go out on a Friday night because I wanted to be on top form, because I wanted to make sure that I was giving my best to then show their business in the best light, you know. So I always set myself to such a high standard, and I think that added so much stress to my body. And like, it was just such a relief and I'm very disciplined by myself, but I don't have that pressure like I did having a boss. So we got furloughed, and then I was like, right, this is the perfect time for me to start building my own business, because I had so much free time, and then launching it, leaving my other job, and just slowly building, and now running a really sufficient business all by myself. Like, I think that, and long may it continue.
Yeah.
Just to keep building. So
what's your vision for the future with Body Mynd?
It's, you know what, I'm actually in a bit of a pivotal moment.
Oh, okay.
Like, I always had a dream of opening my own boutique gym with a cafe full of all the recipes that I love making. So I wanted people to come into a really nice, tranquil, calming space with nice music where they could work, they could chat, they could have coffee, they could eat, and then go into like a luxury private gym and have their sessions, and it'd be like a Body Mynd hub.
God, that's amazing.
So that was always my dream, and I think it still is, but I'm also at a point where I'm starting to feel pressures which is ridiculous because I shouldn't do, because it's against just social norms and pressures of thinking, I want to have children at some point. Do I want to run a business and employ people and be there 7 days a week till really late hours if it's a gym, really early hours? Like, I think the practical side of running it, like, the idea is beautiful. Yeah. I love the idea because I think I'm seeing it as like this beautiful, tranquil, lovely place. But I think the behind the scenes will be really tough, and I'm just starting to think, is that truly what I want right now? And I don't know when that's gonna. I'm much of a, like, my whole life is kind of a plan.
I was gonna say, are you a planner?
Yeah. And I know it changes, and I'm fine with it changing. And I've definitely learned over time that it's fine if it doesn't go to plan.
Yeah.
But I am a planner, and in my mind I'm like, where's this gonna fit in? Like, if I want to do this by this age and this by this age and have this, like, how am I going to do this as well? So, but my friend said to me the other day, don't not do your dream because you're not sure about where it's going to fit in. Like, just do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we'll see. Yeah. But yeah.
One of my previous guests, actually, she started a business after she got pregnant, and
As in during pregnancy, or?
Yeah, like she got pregnant and then a few months later she was like, I don't want to go back to work, so I want to just do something.
Wow.
So she just started like her own beauty business.
Yeah.
But then she said it was really hard at first because she had a newborn, and the newborn was like in the pram while she was doing lashes or whatever, and you know, in the bouncer, like in the doorway, like while she was working with clients. But her business now is like really successful.
Wow.
And now she's just like, well, there were some sacrifices I had to make, and sometimes life will throw you a curveball, because she got pregnant without like unplanned.
Okay.
So she was like, I made a decision, and sometimes you do have to make sacrifices.
To roll with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, I'm pre and postnatal trained, and I've worked with clients who have gone through pregnancy and post pregnancy, and I think one thing that I've learned massively from them is life is really unplanned when you've got a kid. Like, from one day to the next, it's different. Something may happen, they may get ill, and then you get ill. Like, the amount of times my clients who have got young kids are ill because they bring germs back from nursery, and like, life doesn't go to plan at all when you've got a kid.
Yeah.
And I think, like, what I'm blessed with at the moment with my business is that I've got some in person, some online, and my vision is if I do have children one day, I will still be able to do the online bits because I'll be able to work and have the baby there. But then if I want to do the one-to-one calls or my PT sessions, that's like an hour block where I can't really be disturbed. So it's like, okay, trying to navigate that. But there's definitely elements to my business that I can still keep ticking over if I do have children, because I don't want to fully stop.
Yeah.
I don't want to fully stop my job. And
Yeah.
you want to kind of have... One of my biggest fears is actually losing... because I've heard of it a lot through clients and people who have had babies, is like losing your identity. And that does scare me.
Same.
Does it?
Yeah.
Like, because you hear so many stories and them then trying to find who they used to be. And I'm like, gosh, like, if I can keep hold of Body Mynd and do some sort of coaching still whilst I've got a baby, at least I'm carrying something through that's mine.
Yeah, I have that fear as well. Because I think I know how I am, even just in relationships, is I give a lot of myself to my partner. And so I know that when I become a mum, it's going to be 10 times worse.
All the baby.
Yeah. And so I have that fear of like, if I'm everything for everyone else, when do I get to, you know, be me?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I work with a lot of my clients with. And it's ironic because I've got the same fear. But it is like, if you keep emptying your cup to everyone else, that you've got nothing left for yourself. And what I try and say to my clients is, if you don't work on yourself, then you can't be the best version for everyone else that you want to be the best version for. And but I agree with you, it's like it's a scary thought. But do you know what, I've never, like, it'll be interesting to ask those who have had babies and those who have felt like they've lost their identity, did they have the same fear? Because we're aware of it, aren't we? So it's like, we're aware of the situation, so we're hoping, and I think maybe putting things in place to keep yourself, like, keep doing things for yourself. But I know it's, again, very hard when you've got... We're sitting here, like, without children, and it's like,
exactly.
maybe. But I think it's unrealistic a lot of the time.
Yeah. Maybe I'll ask some of my previous guests that are mums. And see. But the lady that I told you that I was speaking about earlier, she's very much, I have to dedicate time in the week for myself, because otherwise she just gets really overwhelmed. Yeah.
I think we need that. I think that's what my partner's massively into golf at the moment. And he's like obsessed with it, and we joke around. I'm like, okay, well, if you're at work Monday to Friday, you can't then go off for the weekend and play golf and like leave me with the baby again. And then like we've got this joke that I'm like, okay, you can go and play golf for 7 to 9 hours, however long it takes you, and you can take the baby, and then I'll have a day to myself. Fine. But you can't leave me again for another day.
Oh, I love that.
But it's so important to have time for yourself and do stuff for you. Because we lose that. So
well, if you do open that gym, let me know.
I will.
There was one, I went to Austin, Texas last year or the year before, I can't remember now, and they had this yoga place that they had like a little cafe, and they had like smoothie bowls and just like the most delicious smoothies and everything. And then they had a little shop where they sold like merch.
Oh, how lovely.
And then they had the yoga studio at the back, and it was just so peaceful in there, and the food was delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got my inspiration. Have you been to Bali before?
No, I haven't, but I feel like it needs to be on the list because everyone's talking about Bali.
I've been a couple of times now, and the first time I went, that's where I got my inspiration from. There was this really lovely cafe called the Watercress Cafe, and it was like open plan, which would be a bit tricky in UK weather, but anyway, open plan, and it had loads of like plants, and it was really tranquil, and it had lovely like smoothie bowls and different cakes and coffees, and I was just like, wow, this is what I want Body Mynd Studio to look like a beautiful hub, where people can just come in and feel peaceful and like and just have yoga and Pilates and private PT sessions, and just make it a special place for a community to come and enjoy and feel part of something. Yeah. This talk's actually making me actually really want to get back onto that belief again, because I've lost it. Yeah. I lost it for a bit. Yeah. I did like a little session with a life coach, and he got me writing down literally how I would vision it, and so I've got this little piece of paper with my vision and my plan. But over the years, it's just slowly started to drift away. But I'm really starting to pick it back up again and make sure that I don't lose sight of it. I'll let you know. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll definitely be there. Okay, so the last thing is if anyone's watching and they're like, oh, I'm in like a bit of a slump and I'm not on track with like my health and fitness, or maybe they just want to lose some weight or feel better about themselves, like what do you think is the first step?
I think like them even acknowledging that they want to do something about it is good. Like just being aware of actually, no, enough is enough, and I want to better myself. Yeah. And then I would advise them to not go on Google, not do loads of research, not to bombard themselves with the next diet, and just think about one simple thing that they can do. And I always say to my clients and anyone that I speak to you want the first change and all your changes to be so easy. If I said to you, out of 10, how easy, like how much do you believe you'll be able to do it? It needs to be 9 out of 10. Okay. Like you need to tell me, I'm 9 out of 10 confident that I can get one walk in this week. Like let's start off that small, because at the end of that week, if you've done your one walk, brilliant, you've achieved it. Next week, let's build to it. But if you set yourself, okay, this week, if you're going from nothing, I want to do 3 walks and a workout. That's 4 spaces in your week, which I think we all want to achieve and believe that we can do, but actually in reality, going from nothing to 4 is a lot, and you may achieve it for your first week, but then the second week you won't, because it's just unrealistic. So think about one tiny micro thing that you can do, whether that's movement related or nutrition related. Like with nutrition, can you add 1 different vegetable to your dinner every night? Okay. Just something tiny. And be 9 out of 10 confident that you can do it, and then add the next thing in when you feel like you've really aced that first thing. Because I think we can get very overwhelmed very quickly and try and do too many things at once, and that's a problem, because we manage them for a short amount of time and then it all just drops off again. It's like me in Duolingo. I started and then I just dropped off. Okay, yeah. But you need something that's so easy and ask yourself. I think it also comes back. Sorry, I'm rambling now. I think it comes back to your whys. So another exercise. I'm actually bringing out a journal. Are you? Yeah, it's currently in transit and it's arriving soon. But I've put together a journal, and it's the first page is all about your deeper reason why, and that's about digging deep and asking yourself. So for you, for example, like you want to, like a real good deep core reason is to make sure that you don't get diabetes and you don't get Alzheimer's, and picturing your life not with it, but if you got there, how would that impact your life if you did get diabetes and have Alzheimer's, and then picturing your life without it and how would that look like, and like look just beyond the aesthetic point of view. It's great to have an aesthetic goal and it's fine to, but just dig that bit deeper and bring yourself back to it on a regular basis, because on the days when motivation's low and you can't be bothered and you want to sit down and do nothing. Like, it's those days where you just need to pull out that piece of paper and be like, actually, no, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you can do it. There's a deeper reason as to why you're doing what you want to do. Because if it's like surface level, it's really hard, I think, sometimes when motivation's low, just you kind of think, oh, sod it.
Yeah.
But if it's something that really means something to you, reminding yourself of it. Like when I needed to put on a bit of weight to get my periods back, I had a big fear of putting on weight, and I was really scared. But what I did was write on a piece of paper and stick it up on my wall that I saw every single day. Gaining a bit of weight will it was kind of like a little note to myself of, it will bring your periods back, it will make you healthy, like it will help your body, it will help you have children like down the line, like all of these positive things that are way bigger than just that little bit of weight gain and the fear. And even if you don't see it daily, like read it daily, you're conscious, like you're just noticing it, and it kind of brings it back to the front of your mind. I did the same for an injury. I really injured my lower back. I think it was like a wear and tear from dance school, and then over time I basically tore a disc in my lower back, and I couldn't train the way I wanted to train for a long time, and I had to adapt it. And again, I wrote a note up saying, not training now in X way will help you get back to where you want to get to quicker. And it's like just reminding yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important thing. So yeah, my journal. And then, sorry, can I just share one more thing? Also, what I've added in is a UPE. Have you heard of it before? An unexpected positive experience. Okay. So what I don't like is when people say, what are you grateful for? Because I know what I'm grateful for, and I feel like I'm just saying it for the sake of saying it. And then I think it was a couple of summers ago, I came across this UPE, an unexpected positive experience. And I've put it in my journal because what it does is make you think of one thing that day. If you've had a really rubbish day, what one thing in there was a positive experience that you didn't expect to happen. Because then it makes you start thinking of the positive side of things. Like, an example, I went on a walk and I had a rubbish day, and I overheard a conversation with this little boy and his dad was asking him what he had for lunch at school and things like that, and his response was so cute and it just made me smile. And then I got to bed and was like doing my journal, which I don't do a lot. I only journaled for a short amount of time, but I think it's really useful if you are in a bit of a headspace that you don't want to be in. And I wrote that down, and it was just like, gosh, even in a rubbish day, there will be one micro thing, it can be tiny, that was positive. And I love that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, it's very specific and focused. Yeah. Whereas I feel grateful is very broad.
A lot of the time I always feel like I'm writing the same things as well.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas that like really focuses in on that day, which I love.
Yeah, that's amazing. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that as women we're just conditioned to always focus on like what we're not happy with? Because
I think it's ingrained in us.
Yeah.
For like years and years and years and years and years ago, because it's always been like, there's always been different kind of fashions and different trends of, again, body image and the way we should be. But I think it's changing, and maybe not so much. Yeah, I think it is changing, but again, it goes through waves and different trends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, because I think when I look back to my like pictures of myself like 4 or 5 years ago, that was when I was weight training, and I look back now and I'm like, damn, like I look good. But I remember when I look at the photos, I think she wasn't happy, and she was like, no, I don't have abs yet. No, my bum's not big enough. Yeah, like no this, no that. Like, so I even have an Instagram post. I think I deleted it, but it was like a before and after, and it's like a side view, and I've put a little arrow on my bum saying, I don't know what this pancake is about, or something like that. And it's like,
you look back now and you're like, God,
now
girl.
I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you're right. I think it will never be, and that's why having an aesthetic goal, you'll always be chasing, because once you get that goal, you'll want another goal, like another aesthetic goal, and you'll always want to be bettering the way you look. But if you start to learn to actually love the body that you're in and love the journey, because our whole life is the journey, and if you don't get comfortable with where you are now and appreciate where you are now and see the positives in it, then you're never going to be truly happy. So yeah, I do think we are conditioned, but I think we can change it. I think it's been ingrained in us from generations and generations. But it's definitely, I think we're becoming a lot more aware of it now, like as society. And whether that's social media, I think that helps massively negative in a lot of ways, but also helps massively in other ways to make people see it. But with the before and afters, so when I transitioned into a PT, the classic thing is to share before and afters of your clients. And it didn't sit right with me. And I did a couple, and then I was like, what am I doing? Because actually it's so focused on what you look like. And like you said, back then, you remember you weren't happy. Like, you looked great, but you weren't happy. And all of these photos online, we see like a big transformation, and we always expect the person after to feel great, and that's where we want to be. But it's not about that at all. So what I do now on my social media is do just conversations with my clients, like talking testimonials, like speak to them about their journey, how they feel, what challenges they faced, like where they are today compared to where they started, you know, and more of that way of showing progress rather than the way they look. Because the way you look doesn't always result in happiness and health. Yeah,
it's an interesting one. I think we need to develop like habits on like how to feel better about ourselves. And just like little confidence habits as well.
I think it comes down to self-talk massively. I think if you, like, I'm working with a client now, and she's struggled massively with negative self-talk. And we're doing this thing, and it's funny because it sounds cringy, and she's like, oh no, but she's doing it now, and actually she's starting to believe it. And, you know, like, not manifest, well, it is sort of manifestation in a way because you repeat it. Like, actually, if you like, let's say you wake up in the morning, you see yourself in the mirror, the first thought is a negative thought, pause, reflect, and then change it to a positive. What one thing do you actually see that you actually like about yourself, and start to challenge those thoughts, because you need to, our brain is in a natural cycle, like it's wired that way to think that way. You've built that habit, and it's about just noticing when you do it, which is the first step, because that's really hard when you are in a cycle of doing it, and then challenging it. Pause, challenge it, and say something that's positive about yourself. And she's now in a place where she's feeling so much better in herself, and she's saying stuff about herself that she couldn't believe that she would say about herself, because it's so positive and happy.
I love
and that. I think like it takes time and commitment, and to break a habit is really hard. Definitely a mindset shift.
100%. Okay, so how can people connect with you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. The best place probably is Instagram. And it's at Body Mynd, Mind spelt with a Y.
I'll
as
put
in
it
my
in the description.
So on social media, my website, feel free to direct message me and like reach out to me. And if you've got any questions about your health and fitness, like, I'd love to hear from you all. So drop me a message and I'll do my best to help you if I can.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed our chat, actually.
Yeah, it's been really good. Thank you. I love it. Anything women and health.
Exactly. Same. Okay, guys, if you liked the episode, don't forget to like, share, comment, do all the things. We really need it. We need the podcast to get out there so that it can grow, and all of our amazing guests can also get loads of DMs.
Yes.
So thank you for listening, and I will see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's it for this week's episode of the Woman Up podcast. All the links and resources we mentioned in the episode will be in the description, no matter where you're listening or watching from. If you're listening or watching this on a podcast platform such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a review and follow the channel. You have no idea how much this helps to push out the podcast to a wider audience. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button for the same reason, and feel free to leave a comment, ask a question, or make suggestions. It really means the world to us, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.